I'm on board one of the world's biggest ships, the Triple E-class Mary Maersk.
Joe, I'm completely lost.
And Second Officer Joe has got a job for me.
We're here to check that all of the containers are in the positions that they're supposed to be in. It's correctly labelled and it's all seated properly. See up there, you've actually got like a huge, huge tank container. Pentyl method.
Pentamethylheptane.
Yes.
It's quite nice raspberry flavour. It's very
Is it?
rice.
Okay.
Yeah, you need a lot of it.
Right.
With a slice of lemon in it. The ship's dry.
These containers might also include explosives, gases, radioactive material, poison, and even infectious substances. It's a dazzling buffet of gruesome ways to die.
So if you could read me the container numbers while I just check.
Well, we've got over here,
Stand by.
flammable liquid, causes your thumb to drop off,
8
melts bricks.
is corrosive liquids.
Well, that's done right.
So-
Yes, that's
so, yeah.
there, yes. We've got another one there, kills your goldfish, and lights a candle. Are they all in the right place?
It looks like it.
OK.
That's a relief. But you might be wondering how these sometimes lethal and often very heavy containers are pushed across the water, all 18,000 of them at a time. Well, this is the first supersized container ship to use side-by-side engines, powering 2 bronze propellers that cost $1 million each.
Here, at the back of this simply gigantic engine, the crankshaft is bolted to this enormous flywheel, which is now #1 on my top 10 list of places not to get your tie caught. And that, in turn, is bolted directly to this. The propeller shaft. There's no gearing. There's nothing between it and the engine. They're just bolted to one another. And now I'm tingling all over. I'm not joking as we go along the propeller shaft, moving towards the very end of the ship. Come on in, see if you can get in. Oh! Oh, that is genuinely eerie, because just the other side of this steel here, at the end of that propeller shaft is the propeller. 70 tons, 10 meters across, turning with unimaginable force.
And there's only one place in the world that can manufacture propellers this size. This is the town of Worren in northern Germany. On the surface, it doesn't scream birthplace of some of the world's biggest and most complicated propellers, but it is.
This factory has been making propellers since 1948. They made the propeller for our ship. They don't do small.
Today, I'm here to see the creation of a giant new propeller. And like the freshly minted ones here, it'll be bespoke for the ship it'll propel. That means it needs to be handcrafted with millimetric precision from a top-secret bronze alloy cooked up in one of the world's biggest induction furnaces. The one being made today will be 9 meters across, almost the size of those on the Mary Maersk, and cast as one piece in this gigantic concrete mold.
So this is it. That is the mold.
That is the mold, yeah. That is
Oh my word.
the casting itself. It's a very exciting moment because you work for many weeks to build up this and to prepare everything. And then you have the small time frame. In 1 hour, the birth of a propeller would be here.
It does feel more like animation.
Yeah.
Bringing something
Yeah.
to life.
Yeah.
There's people in sets of clothing coming up here. We're not. That shirt, does that
time is
protect
running.
you against heat?
Yeah, you need.
Yeah, okay, we
this.
need to go.
The metal only becomes fluid enough to pour into the cast when it reaches 1,200 degrees Celsius.
As they pour the molten alloy from the furnace into the rather delightfully named pan, which sounds like something that belongs in the kitchen, I'm just aware of raw energy, a lot of it. If I fell in there, I would simply cease to exist. I don't want those splashes to get any closer to me. I'm just going to back up. Right, that is the metal coming out of the actual furnace here. Here it comes. Look at that. It's like a living thing. Call me weird, but I've always wanted to see something cast like this. It's just the kid in me. It's also really, really, really hot. Like, really hot.
It takes 10 days for the propeller to cool, after which it's still far too rough to cut through water efficiently. It needs polishing, and this is where years of skill come into play.
After all the automation, this really is hand finishing, as much as if he was running his hand along it to do it.
The operator's movements are replicated by the remote arm. It's like an extension of his body.
These propellers are finished to a tolerance of tens of millimeters. So this guy is an artist of incredible precision. Because in real life, that isn't just a beautiful thing, a piece of sculpture. It's got a very, very big job to do for the next few decades.
Gerald makes it look easy, but he's got 20 years of experience behind him.
Well, I've said I can have a go. So, here goes. Not surprisingly on a piece of scrap, not on a $1 million propeller. So this, it's alive, right. It's not as intuitive as I was hoping. Right, it's now working. This is the world's biggest tickling stick, right. It's really difficult. I'm guessing that the artist is a perfectly straight line. Right. Oh, the pressure it applies is related to the pressure you apply with the machine. You don't just push it on and then just leave it there. You finesse it. Look at that hole. I'm going to leave that there and not apply for a job as a professional propeller grinder.
After a professional polish, not by me, obviously, the 70-ton propeller is ready to leave the factory.
The more I see of the effort and artistry that goes into crafting this beautiful sculptural thing, the sadder it is to think that, just like the one on our ship, it'll spend its whole life underwater, unseen, and that from the moment it starts working, it'll be under constant and vicious attack from a deadly force called cavitation.
When a propeller turns in water, it generates millions of tiny bubbles on the surface of the propeller blade. The bubbles only last for a few milliseconds before they rapidly implode, sucking in water at phenomenal speed and sending it out as supersonic microjets. They're tiny, but because there are millions of them, this constant bombardment creates enough force to damage the surface of the metal, eventually eroding the blade and destroying the propeller. Next, this gigantic ship tries to squeeze into Europe's busiest port.
So anybody else has to get out of the way, so him, sorry mate, we've got to go here.
And I take an express elevator to my own personal hell.
Oh my God! Oh!